Hello, hello, and happy Friday. I am back with another episode of the RoundTable. My apologies for being late, but y'all, life be lifing, and y'all know how technology is sometimes. But we are here, and again, I'm excited as always to have another guest. Um, Tonight I have none other than Paris Sofab, and I'm excited because yeah, this is my one and only sister. It's an honor for her to have been blessed to be part of, my lineage.
So you say.
But tonight, yeah, we're gonna be talking about something that we all probably have been through. I know I've been fired before. So tonight we're going to talk about being blindsided, the ugly side of workplace terminations. And I thought this was a good topic because, for one, this recently happened to her. And like a lot of us, we have our jobs and we have our whole life planned out, and that's our plan. And sometimes we get hit with the unexpected, and we are either terminated or laid off or something out of nowhere. And so she wanted to share her story tonight because this is something that we all can relate to. So, Paris, if you just give people a little background, tell them who you are, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Paris SoFab, and pretty much what I do professionally is I'm a wireless sales representative, and I manage two stores for Metro by T-Mobile. Um, I was pretty much a part of a company, a growing company, for about 7.5 years, and we sell phones and we sell accessories and pretty much just keep up with the knowledge of the growing wireless technology field in general. I also model. I pretty much do fashion shows as often as I can, which I'm trying to get more into. But pretty much I model. I do promotional modeling. I use my social media like for what is it? Sorry, promoting. I do like collabs with different businesses. So professionally, that's who I am. That's the name, Paris. So fat.
So, another thing, tell everybody, like, I know you said you've always been in the modeling world, but how did you get into into the telecommunications?
Telecommunications. So I kind of got there by accident. Like I never had any interest in that field. I never, especially sales, like sales was never really anything I considered myself strong at because I feel like sales people are special people for one. And I still don't really consider myself a salesperson. But I am good at educating people. I can be a very informative person. So I pretty much look at it as I can give you information and you can take that upon yourself to buy or not buy. But ultimately, I got into it because of that interest. I felt like, why not give it a try? And they were hiring, but I had no idea that I actually had applied for the position until I got a call from the supervisors wanting to set up like an interview. And I didn't even remember applying. So it was kind of just by chance. Like I even asked them, I'm like, how did you hear about me? Like, where did you find me? And apparently they said my resume was there.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was looking for a job and I definitely went to the interview and it went well. I actually interviewed with the CEO of the company, which was not common. So I felt like that was another sign. I'm like, okay, I was second guessing coming into this field because I kind of just always did like regular customer service and I consider myself a people's person. So I don't know. I just felt like the little signs were showing. I'm like, okay, so I get to interview with the CEO, and it was a 2 hour long interview, and we
Wow.
just pretty much clicked. He liked me a lot. He saw potential in me, even though I had zero sales experience. And yeah, and I had also been unemployed for 3 months at that time. And it was in a recession because this was like back in 2017. And it was just not a good time. I was desperately looking for a job. And so I felt like it was a prayer answered. And yeah, so that's how I got there.
So when you did a 2 hour interview, my goodness, it sounded like you probably, I'm sure you learned a lot about the company, as far as like whatever it was that attracted you to accepting the job. So what were some of the benefits that, other than the fact that, you've been out of work for 3 months, you were desperate, we still have our boundaries and limitations, right? So what was it that made you say yes to this job?
At the time, to be honest, it was on the higher end. Like at the time, minimum wage I think was like, don't quote me, 7.15 maybe 7.25
It was 725, something like that.
in 2017. Okay,
Yeah.
so this was one of, at the time, one of my first jobs that paid significantly more than minimum wage. So that was also something I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make this work, or at least see it through, because it's like $2 or $3 more than what I'm used to at that time.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'll take it and try it at least. Also, interviewing with the CEO of the company, he was able to tell me not just like the basics of the job, but like the big picture. And I also, sitting there, I already knew like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna come in here, but I want to learn. I wanted to learn more. Like based on that way the interview went, I wanted to learn more about the whole thing, like the whole wireless field, even if that wasn't my job. Like I even went home, and one of my assignments from the interview was to pretty much create a PowerPoint, comparing, doing a comparative analysis amongst the companies, like the what is it? I guess the competing companies, because it was obviously, I worked for my company, and there's also other wireless companies out
Right.
there. So we had to do a comparative analysis, and yeah, I just was interested in learning about it. And he saw him as at his position already being pretty much a millionaire. He saw potential in me just sitting across from him, like, I'm just here, and he,
Right.
where at his level, can see so much in me. And I know sometimes it's just talk, but I didn't feel like it at the time. Like he was also, his time is valuable, and he made that
Right.
clear. Like he doesn't, so his interview time is normally, he said, about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So I actually was, what is the word? I felt honored to be, to have that much of his time,
Right.
knowing that what he can make in an hour, he knows what he can make in an hour, and he decided to spend those hours on me. So I just felt like I was compelled to at least see it through.
I know that's right. So, like you said, you never saw yourself in sales,
Mm-mm.
and so the job came, pretty much fell into your lap. You didn't even know you had applied for the job, and so now you're in there, you're excited. Did you see yourself moving up into management?
No. So that's one thing. And I know I said I wanted to learn more about the job, but at the same time, I ain't gonna lie, managing anything always kind of scared me. Having to be the one that's responsible for everything below you has always kind of gave me cold feet. And I always had to like persevere past those moments, because naturally I am, yeah, pressure bust pipes, and pressure, if I allow it, it will literally break me. So I pretty much told myself, like, I want to do everything. I want to learn this. I want to learn that, but I don't want any title other than the basic. Like, I want to be here. I want to be helpful. I want to be a good employee,
Right.
and I want to go home. And also, like I said, I've always done the modeling thing. So I always felt like managing would take even more time from that. So here I am trying to juggle a hobby that doesn't really pay, and then also a real job that I want to obviously pay my bills. So
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to have too much time like obligated here. And I just felt like a management position would automatically require that. So I always kind of strayed away from it. And with this company, they kind of attack you immediately for those positions. Like they don't waste no time. If they see potential in you, they try to get that immediately, like the first 2 to 3 months. So they were on me about doing it, and I just pushed it back for
Right.
months, almost a year and a half. Yeah.
So, okay, you said about a year and a half. So
Yeah.
it was around that time when did they come to you about management, or like how did you end up taking that role?
Multiple times. My um manager at the time, Lord rest her soul, Keisha.
Oh,
She would always be on me. She was hired into the company as pretty much a area manager. She never really worked as a regular person, so she came in with the mentality of a leader. So she would
mhm,
always tell me, "You're doing everything already. You may as well just take the position, the title and the money." And I'm like, yeah, y'all say that now, but then as soon as I take the title, now y'all gonna be trying to want me to do this and that and just obligated to do all this extra stuff. So after a few months, she was real persistent. Like, that's why we had a connection. Like, if it wasn't for her, I would have never taken the position, or at least not any time near the time I did. Like, it just wasn't going to happen because I already wasn't that happy with the job at the time because it had its mess. And I just was already looking for something else. I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep this for now, but I'm not moving up because I don't even know if I'm gonna stay. And
right,
so she pushed me and encouraged me and just pretty much made me reminded me that I was capable and that I may as well just do it and just the benefit. So ultimately, Lakeisha is the reason why I took the position. And like I said, she was area manager at the time, so she was my direct manager for the most
okay.
part. Yeah.
So collectively, how long were you, employed with the company?
Um, May the 25th, 2017. So 7.5 years.
Okay. And majority of that time you worked in management, right?
Yes. From 2018 to 2024.
Okay. So when you became manager, like I know then it was just at one store and then you ended up managing two stores, right?
Yes.
So
So
typically you wouldn't get another store right if you wasn't managing one store well enough, correct?
right. And that's one thing about it. Like, they want you to move up, but let's be real. The job I work in has an extremely high turnover rate. Turnover
Hmm.
rate is sales. So it's literally somewhere, it's in the high percentile. Like, it's
Yeah.
we getting new people like every 3 months average. Like the average is about 3 to 6 months. Some people stay that year. Honestly, that's another skill I feel like I brought to the company. I felt like the employees that I hired or kept at my stores also stayed longer than some of their other stores, because I do feel like that goes into managing as well. Who you're hiring, how they're trained, how they're treated. Um, and yeah, so yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So you're fine. So let's fast forward. Like you've been there for 7.5 years. Majority of that time you were a manager, right?
Yes.
What were your expectations made clear? Upon you entering into management, and anytime they added on, like a second store, was all the expectations made clear to you?
Um, to an extent, I'll say, because I'm a very inquisitive person, especially when it comes to big decisions.
Mhm.
So I've asked a lot of questions. I don't feel like they would provide enough information without my questions. I'll say that because they are the type of people that to push you into the position and kind of tell you're capable. But on the separate note, every raise I got with the company was requested by me. Um, so while they'll acknowledge that you're doing well by offering you more responsibilities, they don't actually ever come to you and say, "Oh, you're doing this and this and this great. So let's offer you a evaluation," or something like that. They'll just kind of offer you another responsibility. So before I left, I was supposed to be working on a third store,
Mhm.
which was again offered to me because I was apparently managing two stores well.
Right. So what
So
are not to just a lot of us say we manage a store well, or we was the best manager, we did this, we did that, but you actually have receipts. So what are some things that you accomplished, that you were recognized for within this company as manager?
so my store, okay, so there's ranks. It's a sales job, so there's ranks, there's quotas to meet, there's all kind of goals that have to be met just to maintain sales and to be profitable. So um with that said, my store particularly, especially I'll say my permanent store, which was my store that had been operating for at least 5+ years, which it was around 10+ years really, but a 5+ year store, meaning it's established, it's not new, and it's been around. Many people know about it. That store operated on a how can I put it? It stayed in the top 20% in the nation. That was always our goal, or my goal. Company wise, we pretty much had to stay at least in the top half. We couldn't trickle to the bottom half. That pretty much you lose revenue. So obviously nobody wants to lose revenue. So the goal is to obviously stay in the top half of the company, which we're talking about 7,000 stores nationwide. So we would want to aim to be in the bottom 3,500 at least.
Okay.
And my goal would be to stay in that top 1,500 and below, which is the 20 percentile.
Okay.
And we would do that.
So you did that
So,
consistently.
yes.
That's right.
We've
So
been
what
number
about
26. Oh,
you
yeah.
said
We've
what?
been number 26 in the nation, like out of 7,000 stores or whatever. We've been
Oh
number
wow.
26, number 5. And this is like maintained over the course of a month. So
Wow.
that's
That's awesome. Now, aside from your pay, your salary, you also got paid commissions, right? Because this is
yeah.
sales. Okay. So I know there was some changes, throughout your time there. And one of those changes affected your pay. So I want you to talk about that as much as you can, you know.
Okay. So with that, I've understood working in sales over the years that it's not a constant. Like things are going to constantly change with sales, whether it be just the economy in general, the promotions that the company has available, um, and overall just the economy. Like, because you can only sell what people are going to buy, right? So, um, they would kind of change the sales commission structure because we get paid off of what we sell. So you sell a certain number of phones, you get this in their tiers usually to each category. Same with accessories. And again, that ranking, that's how we got paid. So the ranking was very important. If you're in the top 50%, you're not going to get paid as much as you're going to get in the top 20% or the top 5%. So obviously the goal was to be as high as possible, so, or rather as low as possible to, if you're trying to get some real money. And so they would pretty much change the commission structure. They said to benefit everyone, but in all actuality, they changed the structure the last time. It was in May of this year. That structure literally, I don't want to confuse anybody, I don't want to make it too long, but long story short, the commission structure we switched to was one that took us from, say, for example, if you sold 100 phones, you would make $600. On the new structure, you sell 100 phones, you may make only $200. So you see that 1/3 cut is automatically going to require you to work way harder for less money. Or
Okay.
if you're trying to make what you did, you're going to have to work 3 times as hard. Period. And so
Right.
those are things that I accepted. Because I do understand, I looked at it as a challenge and I'm like, okay, really it's a pay cut, but I looked at it as, okay, let me just try to find another way to make money with this. And I tried it. The only reason why I even signed it, because we always had a DocuSign for any changes that, our commission changes, any structural changes, we had a DocuSign for it. So, and I wasn't going to sign anything if I didn't agree with it. I would make sure I have a meeting and request everything and make sure I understand before I sign anything. So I accepted it and I gave it time just to see it through because it's a very detailed and layered structure.
Okay.
So it's not very simple. So I'm like, let me see it through. Well, it was not. It was a setup for everybody. Like it benefited the company possibly, but I saw what they were doing and I could immediately kind of see the decisions they making at that point are no longer the decisions they were making when I was, feeling what is it, secure by them. Like I felt like they were kind of getting really shady. Like they had kind of, messed up some money on the back end, and now they're going to use the employees to make it back.
Mm,
And they weren't transparent about that. And right after they did that, they went and closed the doors abruptly of my second store, which again affect my money, takes money out of my pocket automatically. No control over. I have no control.
right. That's what I want to get into too. Like, okay, so now you're dealing with this comp structure that automatically and directly affects your pay for the worse.
Yep.
So, at any point, have they ever come to you and complained about any of your performance? You're not doing your job correctly. Any concerns about your management? At any point did they ever come to you about any of this?
No. I had a direct manager, which is considered the area manager, which is pretty much the person who would run my store, or not even run, oversee my store, or oversee me overseeing my store and multiple others. Kind of like a person that checks in. My direct manager has never, ever come to me with a written complaint. Everything we ever conversed was verbal, which,
Mhm.
hey, do this if I forgot to do something, but never have I been reprimanded for any violation of like conduct or code, like at all. Over the years, I did before I became a manager. As everybody know, I kind of, if you know me well, I struggle with Tom. Like Tom is not my friend. Like it's just Tom seems to always get away from me. So I probably had a write up for like tardiness, like being late before I became a manager. That was the one of the main things that I worked on and nipped in the bud. So really, there is no, like I had no warning. Every time I think about it, just like it gives me like low key PTSD. Like I'm like I can't believe it. Still to this day, I can't believe it.
So, as a manager, I'm sure you've had to terminate people as well, right?
Yes.
Is there a like set in stone procedure on terminating employees?
Yeah. I mean, so that's another thing that baffled me. From my knowledge, I've been forced in the past by my direct supervisor to keep employees that I wanted to cut ties with because of just blatant ineligibility for the job, like just blatant. And like I work with these people every day and I'm like letting you know, like, hey, this person is new, they've only been here a week, but this ain't it. They're not gonna make it. It's a waste of the time. Stop. I don't think I if I had to pay them, I wouldn't pay them. Like, so why I'm
Right.
letting you know this ain't it, and I worked in the field long enough to know who's gonna make it and who's not gonna make it by the week two. Like it's not real. Yeah, it's especially when it's obvious. So, and I've been forced to keep certain employees just because, oh, you got to give them a written, a verbal, and a final. So I've witnessed that. Like I literally have copies of write-ups still in my email from outgoing emails to employees in the past that I've had to just send a written, verbal, well, a verbal, a written, and a final just to have it documented before I could fire them. Like
Wow. So
literally.
was that process displayed when they terminated you?
No, not at all.
Okay. So
Not even.
let's get to let's fast forward to that dreadful day. And I know that's what everybody want to hear about. Like, what happened? Okay, we're gonna get there, y'all. We coming.
Yes.
So 7.5 years, she's been doing real well. The store has been charting on the charts, in the 20 percentile of out of 7,000 stores in the nation. And she was just offered the opportunity of running a third store here, locally. And tell them what happened on this day, Paris.
Okay. So I pretty much spent came into work like normal. I had no idea that someone from what we call back office or HR was in town. No, they're from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here in North Carolina. So when they come in town, it's usually something important. It was about 1 o'clock. He pulls up and I'm like, oh, what is he doing here? And normally we get a heads up. So they have been having meetings all week though, like just talking about things that need to be done because they had just closed my second store, which again, no knowledge to me at all. It was just one day they were popped up and was like, hey, let's help us pack all this stuff up. So by the time let me add one more detail. We did have too many employees. So now that we downsized from two stores to one store, we now have too many employees, where we had 10 employees to house two stores. We don't need that many, but we had, again, I had just hired 3 people because they told me to. So before they closed the doors, it's so many details that kind of just go into like the loop. Before they closed the door, I had hired some people because I'm thinking we need to operate 2 stores successfully through the holiday season. So when they close that door, I have extra people who I just don't need, but these are still human beings who just got hired a full-time job right before the holidays, and they thought they were getting a full-time job. So having to go back and cut their hours was hard enough, but I didn't realize that my company that I'm working for expected me to just fire these individuals and just kind of just accept their domino effect. Like, hey, we're coming to close this door. Now get rid of these people, even though they encouraged me to hire them to begin with. So again, I'm sitting here with these people and I'm like, what do I need to do with them? And I'm literally sending emails. I have copies of all the emails of me attempting to contact HR, different people, different members of HR about what do I need to do moving forward since this is a change that I wasn't aware of. And I have all these people who would like to know what to expect for their, well-being. Like, it's just unethical at this point if you guys expect me to just let these people go with no warning. And also, again, me looking out for the business. I was told multiple times in the past by my, higher ups that people need to be fired with reason. Otherwise, they can file unemployment, which obviously for an employer, that's not good. So again, me trying to protect the company from just unwanted problems. So I'm like, I'm not going to fire these people because they're going to definitely file unemployment because they just got hired for a full-time job that they're now being devastated of for no reason. So again, trying to be a team player and at the same time working through cut wages. Anyway, so fast forward to the day NAM comes in here. All that is done and the store is closed. I'm down to 1 store and I've already let go of maybe 2 people, but we're still maybe about 3 overstaffed. So we're still needing to get rid of a few people so that we're not overstaffed. He comes in. He lets me know that he's there for a meeting, talks to me in the back. So we go to the back. There in the back, then this meeting started at 1:30 in the afternoon, maybe right before 1:30. It did not end until 7:30 at night. We had a 6-hour meeting.
A 6-hour meeting to what the heck?
6. When I tell you, because I had so many questions. Now, like I said, I was ignored for pretty much about 4 months.
Oh, wow.
These are people who, like I said, I didn't like how they started to move. I would normally send 1 email to the necessary party and receive a response within 48 hours at the most.
Right.
These people were literally leaving me hanging on just vital information. Like I started to see that. I'm like, why are they doing this? I feel like I'm in the dark. And I just felt like people had information that they weren't sharing. Like my direct supervisor, obviously I would talk to him because I would see him. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Like trying to just keep up, like, hey, what's going on?
Right.
So again, this 6-hour meeting pretty much consisted of me pretty much requesting to know what the future holds for me, because obviously I'm not going to get paid for 1 store what I get paid for 2 stores and so forth. So he tried to offer me a second store in another city, which will require me to what is it?
You
Not transport, to travel. And I
yeah,
didn't want to travel, like, and unless I'm going to get travel pay. And that's another thing this company would do. They would kind of offer you things, and the offer just would be a little short-handed, like short-ended, like it's not enticing. Like you're wanting me to do more responsibilities, but you're not really offering a number that matches. And you, once you know your worth, it's just like it's not even worth it. So
right.
you'll be working harder for them just to prove that point to them, and it's not even benefiting you. So I declined the offer, and I think that's kind of where he kind of, I would say, went left. That was about halfway through the meeting. Long story short, he let me know that he didn't think I was a team player. He just kept saying like, "Oh, you're in it for yourself. You're just making decisions, personal, selfish decisions." And I'm just like, there's nothing selfish about this job. Now, I can assure you, selfish in a job, in my job field, at my store, specifically at my, like the way the company I worked for, the way they organize it for the goals, you cannot be selfish and your store succeed. It's just not possible. If I were selfish, it would absolutely show in the numbers, because I have proof, and that I have proof of too. I have, before I left the company, I took the time to take full access to everything that I had access to, which was a program that I can pretty much collect all the data that I have access to. And it pretty much is quotas, data, like what we've done over the years. And when I was an individual, my numbers look completely different than when I'm a team player, when I'm, say, getting a rush of customers, and instead of me doing all of the activations for myself, I literally hand them to employees, like my fellow employees, so that they can get the credit for it, when really I know it's a team effort. Like if they win, I win, the store wins, and it's like a domino effect. And that was always my scenario. And the gentleman who terminated me, he did not like that. He tried to turn that and say that, "Oh, you're making selfish decisions. You're just in this for yourself." And he never told me where that came from. He just kind of created this false narrative. He never, and I say it's false narrative because I asked him multiple times, he never gave me anything to say why he felt like that. Like nothing on
Right.
paper, nothing someone said, no proof in numbers. And I'm like, you can't have a successful store as an individual. You have to be a team player. And
Right. Right.
yeah, and so he pretty much told me, because of him feeling like I am selfish, that he was demoting me from management. And that hurt, because I understand, like, and like I said, I'm quite humble when
Right.
it comes to talking about that store and the stores and my upkeep of the store. But my customers will tell you, like, I held that store down, like, and I held it down like it was my own. Like I nurtured that store, I built that store, and like I said, humbly, I never was loud about that, even with them. I just let them rejoice about the numbers I brought for them. And it just, for you to come and tell me that you're just gonna take that from me, and then without even any solid way to say, like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this because of this, this, and this." Like I have no information to actually say, "Oh, you demoted me because of this." So pretty much it's just a personal decision. You feel like I'm selfish somehow, despite the numbers not lying.
Right.
Um, so he went on his decision. One thing about it, I knew I had to get out of there because once I heard that, I started to just like not think rationally. I got upset. I was obviously, and then again, the man that terminated me, or is talking to me about this, he literally had just joined the company not even a year ago. I met this man not even a year ago. So you come in after I don't even know if he knew my history, all of my history with the company, but it was maybe my fourth or fifth interaction with this man, with who I
Right.
thought was a cool man. and you're going to come in here and just literally take my job from me, and you're
Right.
not even, you don't at least let me do something to lose this position. So
Right.
once he stood on it, and I look him in the eye and I tell him, this is not a good decision. Like, I don't know why you would do this. And this was actually a very transparent conversation. Like, I was very transparent with him. I was letting him know how the changes in the company had devastated my finances. Like, this was a 6 hours meeting, was because we literally talked about everything. Like, I was very transparent. He was transparent with the company side. And like, we agreed on a lot. We ultimately, so when I walked from the back, I went to clock out. It was around 7:30. There were two other employees there, one of which I considered my homegirl. Like, she was my right hand. Like, she literally helped me a lot at the store, like with just training and just keeping everything in order, because she understood the assignment. Like, she knew she did things the way it should be done, and it was a big help. So she was there along with another employee who she was there. So I walked from the back, and they obviously knew something was wrong. For one, I had been back there for 6 hours, and for two, I guess they heard the tone change, because it's a small store, so they kind of heard what was going on a little bit. And I had little tears in my eyes as soon as I saw them, and I had to announce what was actually happening. It just dawned on me. I'm like, I'm not your manager anymore. I said,
Right.
and in my head, I'm just a regular, what we call mobile expert. So I wasn't fired. But I was just swallowing the fact that, okay, I'm a regular representative now. I'm just here. Like, I'm not even a manager no more. And I was like,
So
gosh.
when he demoted you, like, do you, like, on a percentage, like, how much did that cut your income just off of the demotion?
Oh God, like, I didn't. Oh gosh, I never even calculated the numbers, but it
Right.
cut all my bonuses. Like,
Right.
it just definitely wasn't worth it. Like, put it like this: I would have stayed a regular representative for just long enough to move on, because no, the cut would not be worth it for me. That would
Okay.
not be a position I would be willing to go from this to this, and then just knowing what I would be making if I were still in my position. No, I absolutely would have not lasted long. So we're
Wow.
talking close to half,
Oh, wow.
close to
So
half,
in just one moment, your income was just chopped in half.
devastated. And now this is supposed to be a regular meeting where we're talking about, this was so far fetched for me. Like, I had no, that wasn't even supposed to be part of the conversation. Like,
What was the meeting supposed to be for? Like, who called this meeting?
okay, so like I said, we have been having meetings on and off since like September, October, and we have meetings once a month for the company. We call them
Okay.
all hands meetings, where all the stores for the area, which for this area is about six, come together and have one big meeting. All the employees come together. Well, that was coming up that weekend, so they were in town for that reason, but they knew they had a lot of unanswered questions, and they needed to address it because they had been procrastinating and pushing it back for a long time. So he came in town pretty much for the meeting, like that big all hands meeting. But he also, that's another thing, it's so many layers. So they had been hounding me about firing my assistant manager.
Mm.
So they wanted me, even after I had, two meetings with them to explain why I feel like I need an assistant manager. Um, they wanted me to fire him, because they can't afford to pay a manager and assistant manager. Um, I'm like, that if that's not selfish, I don't know what is. Like, I mean, he's doing his job enough, and I don't want to do, if he's not here, then I have to do my job in his job, and nobody's paying me anymore. And that was another comment that the gentleman who terminated me let me know was selfish, because I don't want to, he said, because I didn't want to fire someone who helps balance my work, that I'm selfish because the company has to pay him. But I'm
Oh
like,
my
y'all
gosh.
made the position. I didn't make an ASM position. Y'all made it. Y'all told me to fill it over 5 years ago, and I did. So,
Wow.
like I said, Yeah.
Okay. So you walk out the meeting, this 6 hour long meeting, and they tell you that you're demoted. We'll go back to that point. You walk
Yeah.
out demoted.
Yeah. And then I'm signing out of the systems because it's not like a simple task. I had to, it's about 5 minutes. I'm logging out and also at the same time talking to my girl. She's just like, "Are you serious? I'm pissed." And she's crying a little bit. And then I was just like, "Yeah, I just gotta get out of here." I just kept saying that. I'm like, "I gotta get out of here because I can't believe this. Like, I'm gonna walk into this store next time as a regular." Like, I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, "What in the
Right.
world? Like, what is happening, Lord?" And so I go into my phone to clock out because we have to clock out on our phones too. And I realize that not only am I removed from, we have designated chats for regular employees and then a designated chat for the managers. So
Okay.
the managers chat, I had got the man who terminated me, he removed me from that chat. Okay, fine. I went in to go post my closing procedures, and I'm also removed from the regular employee chat, which is just required to even work there. So in my mind, I'm just like, first thing that said is, "You're fired," in my head. So I
Right.
walked to the back and I've opened the door and I'm looking at him like, "So what, am I fired too?" And he was just like, "No way."
So
Mind
hold on,
blown.
wait. So he tells you you're demoted,
Can't make this up.
and then he fires you, but he don't tell you you're fired.
He, no, never told me anything. I walked from back there out of that room as a demoted manager. Okay. That was the last thing he said to me. And and again, he told me he made that decision because he says, "Okay, you want to be selfish, you can be on your own. Like, you can perform on your own," which, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like it was bittersweet because let's be clear, if I'm not a manager, I don't have to worry about nobody else but me. So yeah, I would have made more sales wise, but my bonuses, I
Yeah.
would have rather be a manager. And I was just, I told him I'm gonna accept this because obviously I'm not prepared to be without my job right now. But for me to walk up there and to literally look at my phone and have to ask him, "Am I fired?" And all he say is yes. No separate reason. No, "Oh yeah, we," nothing. He didn't go over anything else after that. Just that
I
was it. Like, forget your 7.5 years here. Forget. And I just, like I said, I didn't even know where to start. Like, I had so many.
right.
I just, it did not register with me until probably days after that.
I probably would have ended up. I don't think anybody would have had a job that night.
'Cause I wanted to tear the whole store apart for the simple fact I built this store. Every success story that comes from that store in the last 6 years is because of me. Like, they,
Right.
yeah. So they, and then like I, w- it was times where I was going to leave the job because, like I said, we've gone through changes, and like any other relationship, it's got its ups and downs. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've quote unquote, went job searching, but I never actually took it seriously in the past. And I always tell myself, like, no, I've been here. Like, I would never leave them like that. Like, I
Right.
would always do
Right.
it properly and professionally. And I'm like, for them to just do me like that, like, I just felt like trash. Like,
Right.
to them anyway, because I know I'm not trash, but I
Right.
felt like I was trash to them. And I'm like, do you, and I know because some stuff is self-validated. Like, some people are like, "Oh, I was the best employee. I was this." I
Yeah.
literally have numbers. Sometimes I'm in disbelief, like, "Oh my God, I accomplished that." Like, and I'm like, I did all of that, and they'll just ball it up and throw it away. They don't care. And I genuinely felt like I was working for better people than that. Like,
Right. Right.
just I'm still mind blown. Like, every time I retell the story, it just plays back like a movie in my head. I'm just like, they just they did, and then no, they didn't. Yeah, they just, it's like, forget everything, forget the history, forget everything you did. And then, oh, and then not to mention, nobody addressed, like, so we were on a commission structure. If anybody's worked in sales, especially post paid sales, like, you kind of get paid for things delayed. Like you don't really get it right then. You get it, and then a lot of times it's within like 60 days or something like that. It's a payout.
Okay.
The money I made back in September, October, and now November, I'll never see it. Like the sales, someone inside the company, quote unquote, told me that they're going to give my credit to some other person to pay them for it since they're going to stay with the company.
But that was your work.
I laughed to keep from crying.
Oh my God. No, I would be crying and they would be crying and we all would be crying because
I
I
mean,
would,
we're talking thousands of dollars of earned revenue that they're just they don't they it's just like they don't even think I owed that, and we're not even gonna get into the benefit side or lack thereof with the company. Like they just literally sent me on my way with nothing. Okay, because this is a company that doesn't do 401k. That's another thing. This is off the record. Like I
right.
mean, not off the record like that. Like it's still a it was
Yeah.
very much a legitimate job, but benefits, no. Nope,
Right.
that was something I created for myself, separate from the job. That's another story, but
Right.
I don't get to leave with none of that. I got sent off with barely my last paycheck.
Oh my
That's
God.
it. And that was, yeah, all the money I've earned. Just, I mean, and they don't even address it. They didn't say, oh, we're not going to give you this. There's nothing in writing. But I do have separate plans. So
That's
I
what I want to say moving forward. Like, so I know some people, well, this is one of those things where, of course, we have no control over. And so when people say life be life, and this one of those things, like, again, we have all been in a place where we depend on something as far as when it comes to our lifeline. And I think our first lifeline is always going to be our income. However,
yeah,
you get that income, because that's how you eat, that's how you take care of your bills, that's how you maintain life. And so to have that taken from you, like that is devastating. And there's nothing that you can
mhm,
do. So looking at this, in that moment, I understand it's devastating. But how are you taking this situation and moving forward? Because, life still goes on.
exactly. So obviously, it was so sudden, like not even a write up in sight. So I had
Right.
no warning. So this is not like I've had anything else lined up. And again, this was a job I had no intentions on leaving. Like I've been growing with this. This was my career. So they didn't take my job. They took my career. Like I had a 5-year plan set out for this job. I didn't have really any plans on leaving this place. I was still trying to figure out how to continue to grow with the company since that was also it was like a mutual interest. So I thought. So being thrown back out here, honestly, it's so much confusion. Like I never thought, like when I had my job and they would piss me off, like with something, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna find another job. It's different than when you're actually out here and now you're like, oh shoot, like I ain't got no job right now and I ain't playing for this.
Right.
So and then also it's a domino effect too because it's after they already like devastated my finances. Like put it like this: from May until August, I calculated it. It was about $3,500 difference in those 4 months alone. Also, not to mention for the end of year, I am from last year's revenue was my pay for last year annually would have been about $8,000 more than this year, which is crazy. Like to
Oh, wow.
know that I didn't do anything less. I actually did more this year at my job, and to be paid that much less is just crazy in itself. So they did this after they already financially devastated me. And so all those emotions honestly have left me confused. I am extremely confused. I don't know if I want to still be a manager somewhere, like because it's in me now, or am I going to
Right.
go back to, do I just want to do the bare minimum now and just look after me and go home because I'm scarred, or do I switch fields? Do I stay with what I know? It's such a big decision to be made, and I haven't had any time to
Right.
consider it.
Right.
So I just feel lost. I really do. I really feel like a brand new adult. Like I feel like I've been out of the work field and now I got to go back in. I
Right.
just feel inexperienced in a way. I haven't interviewed in 8 years. So it's, yeah, I just feel I feel confused and I'm so scared to make the wrong decision. Like, because I'm also a kind of person, I don't like starting over.
Yeah.
If something is working enough for me, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to change. I don't like change unnecessarily.
Right. Right.
So, I don't want to start a job. Like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want a job shop. I don't have the
Yeah.
energy.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, as a manager, what are some things you think that managers can put in place to maybe prevent things like this happening, or do you think this is just going to always be one of those things that jobs unfortunately kind of take advantage of, the fact that they can just take your job like
I
that?
feel like this situation kind of was like a needle in a haystack situation because, to be honest, and on a like, my store is suffering. I'm not going to say how I know this, but this is the first month that I haven't been with that store in the last 7+ years. It's suffering. The numbers have plummeted. Okay. When I tell you, I wouldn't have even wished that on them, but those numbers are so bad, you know? So already
How bad?
knowing
How bad are they?
they
What was
bad, like
what was the numbers when you was there?
in December of last year, 2022, 2021, any year you pull, December, they're trending, they're about 1/4. They're pulling in about 1/4 revenue and sales of what we would have pulled at 13 days into the month, because this is pretty much halfway through the month. With 13 days in during December, like they're literally 1/4 off. Like we would have been at least 10,000 accessories by now. Like, and
So
there have been maybe
December's a big
2,000. I
selling
ain't
month.
gonna say how I know this, but
People are getting gifts. Yeah, I mean, so like this is the month where people are shopping.
this is
Um,
it.
and you said sales are down.
Yeah. And so
Mm,
I feel like whatever this decision, while it is devastating, I do feel like naturally I'm just this kind of person. For one, I'm optimistic. I might panic, I might be dramatic, but overall I am very optimistic.
Emphasis
I've
on the dramatic.
right. Okay, very. But I feel like everything happens for a reason. Okay.
Right.
And I know it's so cliche, but I really genuinely feel like everything happens for a reason. So I have been taking this time because it's so unbelievable. Like the way it happened, it's just like, no way. Like, no way. Like everybody I tell, like, which haven't been many people, but the few people I've told it, they're just like, am I missing something? Like, they just let you go. I'm like, yes. Like, I can't believe it myself, but yes. And I thought they had like some kind of master plan, like, oh, they're about to infiltrate, they're about to replace me with some robot and just make this store go bananas. Like they're about to be number one now all the time. And then to see this, it lets me know they didn't have a plan. I don't know if he made a personal frustrated like a personal like decision out of frustration. I don't know what he did, but it was not the best decision for anyone. Doesn't
Right.
seem
Right.
like. And but like I said, because it was so unbelievable and the way it happened was just like, no way. I feel like it happened for a reason. Like I feel like I've been kind of procrastinating. And even though I've liked my job and loved my job there, because I really did like what I do,
Mhm.
um, I do feel like God has something better for me. And
Of
I
course.
don't feel like it was there. And I'm trying to accept that. That's what I've been working on now. And I feel like the quicker I can accept that, I can find what is meant for me. Because just because you spend something, and then it could still be in wireless sales, it could just be somewhere else, it could be something completely different. But that's kind of what I'm doing now, just trying to figure out why did this happen? Because it happened for a reason. Like it was too noticeable of a just crazy occurrence. Like it didn't even make sense. Like no receipts, and then they're not even being very smart. Like to do this, they're not really. Wasn't a very smart business decision. So it just seems so orchestrated by God Himself. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm gonna try to find my blessing in this and just follow all my resources and also focus on the things I haven't been able to focus on. Like I've started so many things that I never finished in the last 7 years because of my job.
Right.
Now money was always better than investing money. Like, yeah, this could make me some money over the next few months, but I'm gonna go to this job because it's gonna pay me this amount per
Right.
hour as soon as I get there. So that mentality is wearing off of me, and I'm able to get things done that I hadn't completed in forever that absolutely should be done.
That's good.
Um and just yeah, focusing on the benefit of it and just trying to be pissed off and trying to have animosity because I am oh it hurts.
But that's good.
It
You take
hurts on every
that energy and channel it into, moving forward and putting it into those things like you said you have not had time for. And I'm a firm believer in all things definitely happen for a reason. And as
yes.
long as you had that job is distracting you from doing other things
Yep.
that you probably should be doing.
Yep.
So take that and roll with it. Do you
Yep.
have any advice for anyone that may be going through this same thing?
I would say don't if you feel like you were wrongfully terminated, like go through go for what you feel you deserve. Like I'm using this as my first like platform to get my story out there, but I do plan to not really advocate for it, but just bring awareness. And I do plan to like see it through more because it's wrong. Like it's completely wrong. Like I never could have associated this feeling with anything. Like, yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I wish my job would. I wish my job would. I would say stuff like that all the time. But if I know I'm not doing anything, like I could say what I want. Like if I'm not doing anything to make you fire me, I have no reason to think I'm gonna lose this job until
Right.
I'm ready to lose this job. So it's just don't I don't know. I mean, I would say even focus on the signs, but there were no signs. Just always have something now. Always have
Right.
something else. Like I will say, even though my job was my main like basket to fill, like I put most of my eggs there, all of them weren't there. And for that
Right.
reason, I am able to not be completely broken down from this. I'll still have a Christmas, I'll still be able to go into the new year not homeless, like it's still things that I can move forward with. So I would say never ever give a job your all, which I know people say that all the time, but you gotta have something outside of there for you because they can and will do this. Like
Yeah.
I think it sounds so illegal, but they did it. I'm
Yeah.
living proof. They I
Don't
mean,
care.
yeah. And I mean, I'm not just saying I'm a good employee. Like you can actually go check the Google reviews. It's okay to name drop, right?
Hey, you can do whatever you want to do up here.
You can check the Google reviews for Metro by T-Mobile in Greenville, North Carolina, for either store, the one that was on Stansburg Road or the one in Greenville Boulevard. They're both going to tell you that. Oh yeah, my name is Adrian, by the way. Paris is my middle name, so if you're gonna be looking for Paris in the reviews, no, Adrian, that's me. Um, Yeah, like it will tell you how long I've been doing a great job at that store. The customers speak. Like that store is a 5-star store for a reason, both of them. So you can be top dog performer and these companies will absolutely look out for themselves at the end of the day. Like I don't really know what their plan is, but they did not care about me. Like they
Right.
didn't like these are people that I literally asked if I could have like a pay advance because I was so low on money and they denied me and still fired me in that same conversation.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
at
Yeah,
the
I'm trying to
holidays,
tell you.
right? 4 days before Thanksgiving.
I try to tell everybody, like, these jobs, we depend on these jobs and we are so loyal to these jobs, but these jobs could care less about us. Like, as soon as we don't make sense for them, they let us go. They don't
Yep.
care about our sad stories. They don't care about our
Nope.
kids. They don't care we got bills. They don't care.
Nope.
And that's one reason why I personally got out of the workforce because I just knew like I can't put my fate in somebody else's hands. But
It's not worth
anyway,
it.
it is 7:15. I know we started late, so we ran a little bit later past the time. But I hope you all learned something. Hopefully, this gave y'all some insight on things. If you are looking for a way to supplement your income or you need a plan B, reach out to me because I definitely do have opportunities available for you. If y'all want to follow and connect with Paris SoFab, tell them how to connect with you on your social medias.
You can find me at Paris X SoFab on Instagram. Paris SoFab pretty much on every other platform: Facebook, TikTok, Threads. A lot of discussions on Threads. If you like being a part of just providing your opinion on different subjects without arguing and being disrespectful, then Threads is a great place to meet me.
That's what's up. Well, y'all heard it first. Like I said, she wanted to share her story about an unwrongful, well, a wrongful termination.
Yes.
And if y'all have any topic suggestions, or if you want to be a guest on the show, then email me at jointheroundtable.info@gmail.com. If you're connected to me on social media, you can also send me a DM. I'm always open to networking and connecting with new people. So hit me up. Paris, I appreciate you for being so transparent and sharing your story with us tonight, because I know this is something that definitely hits not in the best way. So I appreciate you for opening up tonight. Any last words before we log out?
I am doing a lot of research and I'm trying to make all the right choices. If anyone knows any reputable attorneys who kind of handle such wrongful I guess employment decisions like this, if you could direct them to my lovely sister Sandra, or either directly contact me on social media or on this thread, wherever, I'll just try to get the information. Please let me know.
Right. So attorneys, we need you. Tap in, tag
Tap
them, y'all.
in,
All right. Well,
please.
y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Friday the 13th. It is Friday the 13th, but
Yes.
it's a great Friday for me. I hope it's been a great Friday for you too. Until next time, we'll see you next Friday. Same time, same place. Y'all be blessed.